You know exactly what you want to do. The decision has been made in your mind. But when it's time to act, to take the final step, you stop. An invisible force seems to hold your hand, a hesitation you cannot explain. If your willpower has gone to war with a sudden indecision, you need to know that it is not your fault. The rules of the cosmic game are changing. This Wednesday, August 6th, one of the most significant energy shifts of the month occurs. Mars, the planet of action, of war, of our pure willpower, and our drive to go after what we want, leaves the practical and detail-oriented sign of Virgo and enters the airy and relational territory of Libra. Think of Mars as your inner sword, the tool you use to cut away what doesn't serve you and to conquer your goals. In Libra, the sign of the scales, of justice, of harmony, and of relationships, this sword can no longer be wielded impulsively. Before each strike, before each movement, it now needs to be placed upon the scales. The universe is not taking your sword from you. It is demanding that you use it with more wisdom, precision, and awareness. This hesitation you feel is not weakness. It is not a sign that you have lost your courage. It is your energetic system adjusting to this new cosmic law. It is your soul pausing, forcing you to weigh the impact of your actions, not just for yourself, but for the balance of your entire relational ecosystem. Your partners, your colleagues, your family. Brute force and action focused only on the I lose their effectiveness. This video is not about suppressing your strength or becoming passive. On the contrary, it is a guide to refining your power to a level of mastery. In the coming sections, we will decode the symptoms of this hesitant warrior, understand the deep spiritual purpose behind this transit, and most importantly, we will give you 3 strategies of the astute diplomat so you can achieve your goals not through brute force, but through influence and elegant action. If you are ready to transform frustration into strategy and indecision into silent power, keep watching. The lesson on the new art of action begins now. To navigate this new phase, the first step is diagnosis. You need to understand how this Mars and Libra energy manifests in your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. These are not signs that you are doing something wrong. They are the predictable side effects of a major internal recalibration. The first and most common symptom is a bubbling frustration, a constant hum of impatience under the surface of your skin. It's the feeling of having the engine on, in neutral, revving in a void. Inside, your Martian impulse wants to move forward, make decisions, solve problems, and act. But on the outside, the world, other people, and even a part of you seem to be demanding pauses, considerations, and deliberations. It's like driving a race car in slow-moving traffic. Every small delay, every need to wait for someone's approval, every obstacle that requires diplomacy instead of force can generate a disproportionate irritation. You may feel ineffective, slow, or that your power is being wasted. This friction between the desire to act and the need to wait is the central signature of this transit. The second symptom, and perhaps the most maddening, is analysis that leads to paralysis. The scales of Libra, in their incessant search for a perfect balance, can begin to weigh every option, every possibility, ad infinitum. Decisions you once would have made in seconds can now become days-long research projects. You might find yourself creating endless mental lists of pros and cons, seeking the opinion of multiple people for a simple choice, or getting lost in what-if, hypothetical scenarios, focused almost entirely on how others will react to your decision. This happens because Mars, the planet of quick, instinctive, and I-focused decision-making is now operating under the rules of Libra, which demands the consideration of all perspectives, especially that of the other. Your brain is, laudably, trying to be fair to all possibilities. But the practical result is that often no action is taken. The fear of making the unfair or unbalanced decision becomes greater than the discomfort of remaining in inaction. But where does Mars's energy go when it cannot be expressed directly? It doesn't disappear. It leaks. And the third symptom is the manifestation of this leaked energy, passive aggression. When direct confrontation seems too risky for the harmony of the environment, the inner warrior finds other ways to fight. Pay attention to the cutting sarcasm that appears in your words, disguised as a joke. Observe the tendency toward the silent treatment as a way to punish someone without starting a fight. Notice if you are doing favors or agreeing to things, but with a heavy energy of resentment, slamming doors, sighing loudly, using body language to communicate your anger without using words. These are all the ways the warrior finds to fight when forbidden from using their sword openly. It is your frustrated willpower, desperately seeking a release valve. Finally, the fourth symptom, which may seem positive, but is equally destabilizing, a sudden and intense preoccupation with fairness and with the perception of others. You might become the devil's advocate in every discussion, trying to ensure that all points of view are heard. You may feel an immense difficulty in saying no for fear of creating disharmony or of seeming selfish. And above all, you might notice a new social radar constantly on in your mind, trying to guess how your actions, words, and even your clothes will be perceived and judged by others. This is the essence of the Libran energy manifesting. It is not inherently a bad thing, but for the energy of Mars, which is naturally focused and self-referential, this shift in focus to the external can be exhausting and dilute your willpower. Your inner compass, which once pointed clearly to what I want, now desperately tries to point to what is best for the we. And this new complexity can leave you completely lost. If you are feeling frustrated, hesitant, and perhaps even a little irritated with your own indecision, the question that inevitably arises is, why? Why does what used to work seem to no longer work? Why does the universe seem to have pulled the handbrake on my willpower? The answer is not that you have lost your power. It is that power, as we know it, is changing its form. We are in the midst of a collective energetic upgrade, and the transit of Mars in Libra is one of the most important lessons in this new curriculum. The era of brute force, of imposition, of I want it, I take it, no matter what others think, is energetically obsolete. Trying to use these tactics now is like trying to use an old key in a new and much more complex lock. You won't be able to open the door. You will only break the key and increase your frustration. The universe is not punishing you. It is inviting you to a higher level of mastery. The deep spiritual purpose of this transit is to force us to evolve from the consciousness of the I to the consciousness of the we. It is a cosmic masterclass on the law of interconnection. The universe is showing us, in a very practical and sometimes uncomfortable way, that no victory is truly a victory if it creates a battlefield around you. No success is sustainable if it is built on imbalance and disharmony. Let's decode the alchemy. Mars represents our desire, our will, our vital energy. It is a sacred and absolutely necessary force for life. The goal of this transit is not to erase, castrate, or diminish this force. Libra, in turn, represents the other in all its forms. The romantic partner, the business partner, the co-worker, society in general. It is the mirror that shows us the direct impact of our actions on the world and on the people around us. The alchemy that is happening now is a forced sacred marriage between Mars and Libra within our psyche. Your will, Mars, needs to learn to dance with the needs of the other, Libra. Your desire needs to learn to speak the language of diplomacy. Your strength needs to learn the elegance of cooperation. See the difference in practice. The old, purely Martian model would say, I want this promotion, so I will work harder than everyone. I will be more aggressive, and I will show that I am the best, no matter who I have to run over on the way. The new alchemical model of Mars and Libra says, I want this promotion. Let me first understand what my boss truly values. Let me see how I can collaborate with my colleagues in a way that my success also elevates theirs. Let me present my qualifications in a way that demonstrates how my victory will be a victory for the whole team. The first creates rivals. The second creates allies. Both seek the same goal, but the strategy and the energetic frequency are completely different. And here is the truth that separates those who will grow from those who will only get frustrated in the coming weeks. Most people will feel this energy only as a blockage, as an annoying hesitation. They will fight against the current. They will try to use force, imposition, and stubbornness as they always have, and they will find resistance, conflicts, and closed doors everywhere. They will blame others for their lack of progress, calling them slow, indecisive, or obstructive. They will not realize that the problem is not in the outer world, but in their refusal to adapt their own strategy to the new cosmic law of balance. But those who understand the secret of this alchemy, those who, like you, are seeking a more conscious way of living, receive a golden opportunity, a chance to transcend the childish model of competition and domination, and to enter a new paradigm of power, the power of influence. This is the power that does not need high volume, but precision, the power that does not break down doors, but that receives the keys. It is the fundamental difference between using a hammer for every task and learning to use a surgeon's scalpel. Those who learn this lesson will emerge from this transit not weaker, but immensely more effective, with a new and sophisticated toolbox capable of achieving their goals with an elegance, a lightness, and an effectiveness they never before imagined. The question is, how to do this in practice, how to become this astute diplomat. The strategies for this transformation are our next step. We have arrived at the practical heart of this guide. Understanding the energy is the first step, but knowing what to do with it is what generates true transformation. If you are ready to stop being a victim of your own frustration and become a master of this new form of action, here are 3 concrete strategies of the astute diplomat for you to practice while Mars transits through Libra. The first strategy, the pause of the scales. The first and most important practice is to create a space between the impulse and the action. The reptilian brain of Mars is trained to react instantly. Our work is to train the higher mind of Libra to deliberate before acting. This strategy is your tool to do just that. Every time you feel the impulse to act or speak in a situation of potential conflict, whether before sending that reactive email, before entering into an argument, or before making a quick decision that affects another person, you will stop. Physically, stop. Take 3 deep breaths. If possible, place a hand over your heart or stomach to reconnect with your body and exit your mind's fight or flight mode. In that pause, which may only last 10 seconds, you will ask yourself the fundamental question of Libra. What is the fairest and most balanced outcome for all involved here? Note the depth of this question. It is not, what do I want? It is not, how can I win? And it is also not, how can I please the other person? It is a question that forces you to rise above your own perspective and the other's perspective, and to seek a third way, a solution that honors the truth and dignity of everyone. At first, this will seem slow and inefficient, but with practice, you will discover that this pause is not a sign of weakness, but of immense power. It is the moment you trade reactive force for strategic clarity. You will discover that the most balanced solution is almost always the strongest and most lasting, as it creates allies instead of adversaries and generates cooperation instead of resistance. The second strategy, the enemy as a mirror. Libra is the sign of the mirror, of projections. During this transit, the conflicts that arise in our lives are rarely just about what the problem seems to be on the surface. They are often a mirror reflecting a part of us that we are unwilling to see. This strategy transforms each conflict from a battlefield into a classroom for self-knowledge. When you find yourself in a conflict or feeling a strong irritation with someone, identify the main accusation, the label you are placing on the other person. Perhaps it is, he is selfish, she is controlling, they are unfair. Hold that accusation for a moment. Now, with courage, turn the mirror. Ask yourself, where in my life, perhaps in another area, am I acting selfishly? Where am I trying to control a situation out of fear? Where am I being unfair to myself? This line of questioning is radical because it immediately dissolves the energy of blame and accusation. It does not mean the other person is right or that their behavior is acceptable. It means you are using the conflict as an opportunity to reclaim your own power. Often, what irritates us most in others is a reflection of a shadow we do not accept in ourselves, or a need of our own that is not being met and that we are projecting onto the other. By doing this internal investigation, you stop spending your Mars energy trying to change the other person, and you use it to understand and heal yourself. Paradoxically, when you make this internal shift, the external conflict often resolves on its own, or you find the clarity to walk away from it without needing a war. The third strategy, the elegant action. This is the most sophisticated technique of Mars in Libra, as it uses this sign's secret weapon, the influence of Venus, the planet of beauty, art, and harmony. This strategy teaches us to change a situation not through confrontation, but by altering the energetic frequency of the environment. If you are in a situation of tension, disorder, or disharmony, be it in a chaotic work environment, in a home with a heavy energy, or in a tense relational dynamic, the instinctive response of Mars would be to complain, to confront, to try to force order. The elegant action response is the opposite. The guidance is deliberately introduce an element of beauty, order, and harmony into the environment. This can take very practical forms. Instead of starting another argument about the mess in the kitchen, silently wash all the dishes, clean the counter, and place a small flower or a candle on the table. Instead of getting into a heated and unproductive debate at work, impeccably organize your own desk, buy a plant, and send an email praising a colleague for something they did well. If the tension is with your partner, instead of pointing out all the relationship's flaws, prepare a simple but beautiful dinner or play a piece of music you both love. These acts of elegant action may seem small, but they are incredibly powerful. They change the vibrational frequency of the environment. They disarm the tension and non-verbally invite everyone present to rise to the same level of harmony. It is the most sophisticated form of fighting. You conquer disorder by creating order. You conquer ugliness by creating beauty. You conquer war by creating peace. And so, the warrior's journey reaches a new and sophisticated phase. You began this week, perhaps, feeling the frustration of a blocked force, the agony of a paralyzing indecision. We diagnose these symptoms not as weakness, but as the signs of a cosmic recalibration, the call to a new form of power. You understood the great lesson the universe is teaching us now. The era of brute force, of imposition, and of action focused only on the I has become energetically obsolete. The alchemy of this moment demands the union of your will with the consciousness of the other. And you have received the strategies for this mastery, the pause that calibrates, the conflict that teaches, and the action that beautifies. What then is victory in this new paradigm? What does success look like for the astute diplomat? It is crucial that you redefine your metrics so that you can recognize and celebrate your progress. Victory is no longer the sound of your voice being the loudest in the room. It is not the fleeting satisfaction of proving the other person wrong. It is not the adrenaline of a solitary conquest that leaves a trail of resentment behind. Victory now has a new texture, a new sound. The silent victory of Mars in Libra is the feeling of deep peace that fills your body after a successful negotiation, where both sides feel seen and honored. It is the unshakable strength you feel when you choose not to react to a provocation, when you observe a conflict with calm and choose the most strategic response instead of the most instinctive one. It is the subtle yet immense power to influence an environment, to change the energy of a room, not with a command, but with a deliberate act of harmony. It is the shocking discovery that true power lies not in bending the world to your will, but in moving with the world in such a balanced and fair way that it naturally bends to receive you. This is not a state that is achieved overnight. Mars will be in Libra for weeks, offering you a training ground for this new martial art of the soul. Use this time. Practice the pause of the scales in every small decision. Practice the enemy as a mirror strategy in every disagreement. Practice the elegant action in your home and at your work. Every small social interaction, every negotiation, every moment of potential conflict is now an opportunity to hone your new and sophisticated tools. If this message about a new kind of power has resonated with you, if you are ready to trade the noisy sword for the precise scalpel of the diplomat, anchor this decision in the material plane. Like this video, share it with someone you know is struggling with their own frustration, and declare your new mission, your new way of being in the world, in the comments. I have traded force for strategy, and don't forget to subscribe so we can continue to hone the art of living consciously and strategically together.